You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Since 96, MLS has been the youngest soccer league. From 10 teams to 30, playoffs to parity. Battered MLS bring local guests to cover games. Analysis firsthand, not Google like other lames. Stats and recaps cover the West and East. Can't forget, we're on Sean Johnson, watch every week. DPs for the elite, 10 get you the vets. Playoff trees as American as it gets. It's time to turn off the world, grab a drink and let's go. We're Battered MLS fans, so lock in on the show. Battered MLS fans, so lock in on the show.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Sam, Battered fans are back. Welcome everybody to episode number 84 of the Battered MLS Fans Podcast. I am your host, Dave. Alongside me, I got two other Battered fans, and hopefully we'll be joined by two other Battered fans on top of that. Let me start from my left to your right, Mr. Sam Rowan. How are you doing, sir? Representing the Great White.
Yeah, doing very well. It was a solid match day one of the first round of playoffs, and lots of interesting things to dive into. So not just in Vancouver, but elsewhere around the league. So looking forward to it.
So we got Sam repping the Whitecaps, and over here to the left we have Mr. Joe Shaw repping the Dallas Burn, baby Burn. What's going on, Joe? How you doing?
To say that I've recovered from Sunday night's shellacking would be an understatement. I was telling y'all before we got started that if this is the last time I'm on the show this season, which it very well may be, in honor of the 30th season, I decided to bust out the 1996 kit. But Sam, in honor of you, I had three things that I'm actually really happy for. So actually three things in honor of the 3 goals that the Whitecaps scored on Sunday. Number one, I'm very happy that Thomas Mueller is enjoying MLS because a happy Mueller is a happy MLS. And number two, that the Whitecaps fan that was in the chat last time, that he got to see a good, solid win in the sold out or nearly sold out BC place. That was exciting. And then three, that the Whitecaps will make me look like a genius by delivering on the promises that I made in the last episode, which was number one, that whoever wins game one is going to win the series. And number two, that the Whitecaps, if they win the series, are going to win MLS Cup. So
my understanding was you said whoever wins game one was going to win the MLS Cup.
That is not true. What I said was whoever's going to win game one is going to win the series. And if that's Vancouver, they will win MLS Cup. I stand by everything that I said.
Well, I'll start with you, Joe. Dallas almost got to halftime with a little life, but then obviously give up that late goal. Your thoughts on the first game? What went wrong?
Everything. Period.
Fair.
So the biggest thing that went wrong, right, which we knew was going to be a bit of a difficult decision, was Patrickson Delgado goes out in the last game against the Whitecaps with an injury. I think he doesn't seem to do a lot most of the time, but what he does is he pulls a lot of players towards him. He opens up passing lanes for Musa and Farrington, and he allows Kappas to hit sort of those line-breaking passes that he's really good at. Without Delgado in the center, we decided to change our formation, keep Sarver and Julio, which I don't really fault Quill for wanting to keep the hot hand, but that left this huge gap in midfield that nobody stepped into except the Whitecaps. The Whitecaps stepped into it early and often. And so any pass that Kappas or others tried to make kept getting picked off over and over again because the gap was there. So we didn't adjust until halftime. It got a little bit better in some spots, but we see the PK happen again because the Whitecaps are putting the pressure on and creating those opportunities. And the last goal, I'll be honest, I didn't watch because I had already thrown my remote down in disgust. And then I heard 3-0. I'm like, well, of course it is, because why wouldn't it be at this point? So, but everything went wrong, and we can talk about some of my thoughts around like maybe some shifts they should make in game two. But I mean, full credit to the Whitecaps. I haven't seen them press, and I'm interested to get Sam's perspective. I haven't seen them press to that extent, that early and that long all season. And I think full credit to the way Thomas Mueller directs the troops out there for them to be able to consistently do it.
22 shots to 1, and that one was probably offside.
It was like, let's not beat around the bush. Kamungo was offsides by a mile. It was a nice chance, but he was offside.
Yeah. Sam, your thoughts on the game and everything that went right?
Yeah, well, I think Joe brought up a good point in terms of the midfield, and I think that that's something that when you actually watch the match itself and like all the highlight plays or all the notable plays, maybe none of it really happened in the midfield, but so much of the play on both sides was dictated by what happened in the midfield. And so Andres Kubas and Seb Berhalter, they maybe didn't light it up in terms of goals and assists, but every time Dallas had that little, after the Whitecaps are in possession for 45 seconds a minute, okay, finally Dallas gets the ball back. They look to play a pass in the midfield. Andres Kubas steps in, intercepts, or gets a foot in, makes a challenge, and then all of a sudden the Whitecaps are recycling and they're back on the front foot again. And I think that was just demoralizing for Dallas. It's hard playing on the road in MLS. It's difficult playing on the road in the playoffs. And already I think this was a bit of a mismatch in terms of form in the regular season. Now, obviously, Dallas had shown some good things. We talked on the last show, Joe, about the way that, hey, if Dallas could take advantage of some mistakes, they have Petar Musa up front, they can play that vertical style, but really the Whitecaps just kind of pitched a no-hitter in the sense that there were none of those transition opportunities. The one transition opportunity was, and it is difficult playing on carpet. I mentioned it on the last show. It's funky turf at BC Place. Especially when you try to play that direct brand of football. I think, the way it skips off the turf can be difficult. But yeah, ultimately it was just like the Whitecaps didn't really afford Dallas any of those counterattacking opportunities that they were going to need to break into the game. And then I think you see, I mentioned in the last show as well, that wear and tear starts to add up when you're constantly chasing the game. And in the second half, after the second goal, I know Dallas made some tactical tweaks too because they had to throw caution to the wind. But there was a phase there where every time Dallas got into Vancouver's half and tried to create something and they turned over the ball, it was 4v3 with Dallas desperately defending because they were just kind of out of gas at that point. And so, that's what Vancouver's been able to do so much this season. I think that, the matches may be different if Dallas could have started a little bit better and you get a Petar Musa chance in the box early on, or you get a Sam Sarver run in transition inside the first 15 minutes. All of a sudden, maybe you have the Whitecaps, you have that inexperienced back line thinking and questioning a little bit more, but it just never really happens. So, I'm curious to see what Eric Quill and his squad's going to do at home in game 2. Are there any wrinkles that they can throw? Because I think if you just kind of go, this match 1 felt very much like stock FC Dallas game plan against stock Vancouver Whitecaps game plan, and we saw how that went. So there's going to have to be some punches and counter punches for game 2 in order for the series to get more interesting.
I don't know if you heard anything, Joe, about what they might change. What if you haven't heard anything? If you have, what have they said? If you haven't, what would you change?
Yeah, so one thing that I do want to point out, if you go back and rewatch the game, which I think the only person that would is someone that's from Vancouver. So I'll specifically say this to a Whitecaps fan. When you go back and rewatch and relive this game, which why wouldn't you? Go back and pay attention to Ramiro getting burned over and over again on the wing back. From a height advantage, he was getting burned. From a pace advantage, he was getting burned. And he's not really traditionally a wing back, but he'd been doing a serviceable job there, creating the service and the counterattacks. But I think what we saw, what was very evident to me at the beginning of the game, was that last week, Shaq Moore was playing that role, and Shaq Moore is a lot more of a physical presence, which is why you see the shift at halftime for Shaq Moore to go out wide. Ramiro goes centrally, Kayeke comes off. But then the problem with that is you have Abubakar come in, and Abubakar is prone to doing the kinds of things that get a PK, right? A PK or a card or things like that, dangerous opportunities in the box. From a game plan perspective, I wrote down, I know Quill has talked a lot about, he's not really showing his hand a lot, which is usually on par. If Quill's thinking about changing something kind of dramatically, he doesn't really show his hands too much, doesn't really talk too much. But I wrote down some of the things that I think they should do is just kind of take it back to basics of what had been working in the form. So for me, that looks like you got to keep Collodi in net. You could easily say he let in 3 goals. Man, that dude stopped 19 shots, right? I mean, like, I don't remember how many were actually on goal, but
both matches against Vancouver, he's been tremendous. Like, you can't take anything away from his performances.
He had that between the legs stop where he sat on it. He had the like basketball palm one where he just like kind of grabbed it, like that kind of stuff. You got to keep him in net. The back three, unfortunately, is going to be, to me, Abubakar, Ibiaga, and Urugide. But I think more so that way more can go out on the wings. I think we need more in the wings, more on the wings, right? In this series, more. And then I think you pull Kayeke, as great as he is, he seemed very overwhelmed with the playoff atmosphere. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. As far as the Abubakar comment, his hair is great. I did this is a sidebar real quick, but I got to meet his family in Cincinnati when they were playing away at FC Cincy, and tremendous people. Like, they're really cool. But I think Kayeke needs to go to the bench. You need Ramiro back centrally in that spot. I think that'll help. It'll help relieve some of the pressure on Kappas. And if Patrickson is not fit, which it's likely he won't be, I think you need to put Pedrinho in that attacking slot. He seemed to do pretty well throughout the year, and then put the big dog Farrington back out there along with Musa. Like, just go for broke. Just do that lineup.
Oh yeah, you have to at this point.
And then just like see what's what. But yeah.
And to be fair with Ramiro, Ali Ahmed basically burns everybody.
Well, true. But I think so this is where I get a little frustrated. Is like, but you know that's going to happen, right? There's enough tape out there. You know what he's going to do. So I think you've got to put somebody that can try and match him, at least pace for pace. I'm sorry, at least physically, if not pace for pace. And you saw that a little bit. And even though we let in 2 goals in the second half, I would argue that we played better in the second half because of the adjustments. It's just that at that point, to Sam's point, we're just chasing the game for 45 straight minutes, which is why you get both goals happening.
Sam, do you think Vancouver is going to change anything? And would you change anything? Because I feel like everything went well. I don't know if you would want to touch anything right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see big sweeping changes. I think, so something that's interesting in terms of the whole winger versus fullback, wingback conversation. Mm-hmm. We've seen this with Jesper Sorensen throughout the year. When they sense that they have that mismatch they like, they'll just go back to the well over and over again. We saw it right from the start of the season. Jaden Nelson torched Portland in the very first game.
Yes.
We saw Philadelphia Union came to BC Place. They started Alejandro Bedoya out there against Ali Ahmed, and it turned into a 7-0. We were joking that Bedoya needed to retire at halftime, like it was that bad. So they will go there when they see it. But I think it's interesting, if Dallas does make a shift, and Shaq's a lot more defensively solid out there. I kind of think like early in the year with the Whitecaps, they would sometimes have Matias Laborda, who's played at center back, but also played at fullback. If they felt like they needed that cover, they'd put him out there. I get the sense that Jesper Sorensen, if he sees that, it's going to be like, okay, we're going to let Seb Berhalter progress the ball a lot more centrally now. You know what I mean? And kind of shift away. Now, I think there's a question with those physical center backs that you have in Dallas. Maybe you have more success there. Maybe defending centrally, that's the place you want to live, and that works. But I think that's also what's been really successful for Vancouver is they have those secondary and tertiary options they can go to. So it'll be the cat and mouse there will be interesting, and to see what Quill does and then what Jesper does in response. And I think to your point, Joe, definitely that first 15 or so minutes of the second half, that was probably the brightest spot in the match for Dallas. So I think there's something there. And you just need more progression, more composure on the ball in the midfield. I think if you just get that a little bit, like 3-4 more passes to kind of settle in and develop something, I feel like there's a little bit more of a chance there. So, I'm sure we're going to see adjustments. I'm pretty confident that it's not saying a heck of a lot, but it's going to be a more competitive second match because Dallas is going to have some answers. They're at home. That there's definitely going to be something there. And I guess from the Vancouver perspective, kind of go back to your question, Danny, I don't, maybe Tristan Blackman, shout out to the now Defender of the Year.
Yeah, well deserved.
Is he fit and ready to go? I could see him slotting in, but, Halbuni and Priso did well. And Brian White, I guess, as well. I think Brian White's probably a little more like Tristan Blackman. That's something realistically that could happen next weekend. Brian White feels like a little bit more of a long shot, but otherwise, yeah, don't see major changes. I also think for Vancouver, getting out, like in terms of the MLS Cup prospects, getting out of this one in 2 games could go a long way because more time to get White fit, more time to get Blackman fit. Even a guy like Ryan Gauld, who's continuing to just kind of stack up, showings and performances. Having that 3-week break, we talk sometimes about the momentum and how it can kill a run. I think for Vancouver, a break would be the best thing possible. Like they just need that time to get everyone fit again. So I think it's maybe not as big for trying to win the series, but it's definitely huge for that whole MLS Cup run to not have to play that extra game if they can avoid it.
Shout out to Tony from San Diego joining us. Tony, your team curb stomped Portland, but before we get into that curb stomp, actually, you know what? I thought Portland had a couple good opportunities, but Vancouver and Dallas, did you by any chance pay any attention to that? And do you think Dallas has any chance in hell coming back and winning a game in this series?
Now, be nice. Be nice.
Well, I mean, from what I've seen from Whitecaps is that they like themselves a good penalty here and there.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing that is boosting some of the stats and ultimately the results, but they're not playing bad at all. They're creating these chances, and FC Dallas clawed for their life in that last match of the regular season that allowed San Diego FC to be first in the West. Much appreciated. The fans here in San Diego say thank you for that one. But San Diego FC has seen Dallas away in their home stadium, and it's not an easy place to win this season. You really have to kind of
hard playing in an empty stadium.
Oh, yeah, and it's one of these things where like you don't know what Dallas you're going to get all the time, and I think that's one of the things where if you get a Dallas that's competitive that wants to go ahead and propose that offense and go and meet the rival, because again, Whitecaps is the superior team. They just are. They have been, and then they proved that because they had a chip on their shoulder. They didn't like losing and not being first place in the West, so they proved that with the victory. Can Dallas respond? Maybe, but it's going to be difficult. Much like Portland, maybe, but it's going to be difficult.
Shout out to San Diego FC coach Mikey Varas, former FC Dallas Academy coach. Yeah. Like, come on, everybody starts in Dallas. You get great elsewhere, but you start here, right? So let's just shout out.
Who would have thought if I would have told you October of 2024 that Vancouver would look like one of the favorites to come out of the West without Blackman, Gauld, or White in the starting 11?
I mean,
they're still playing great.
I mean, without them in the 11, I think that would have been hard. But I think if you had asked me last year, do I think Vancouver could be one of the favorites the following year coming out of the West? The answer is yes, right? I think one of the things, Jesper Sorensen is an incredible coach, and also this core, and then Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, the core has been together for a few years now, right? So they've been building, and they've just been, it's like a new manager, right? You get a new manager, it's just like, you are over here, you're doing incredible work. Let's elevate you. Let's get you that promo. Let's get you that raise. Go out and conquer the world, my man. And they're doing it, right? They got a new manager, new boss who sees the potential in them and is letting them go. So I think, yeah, I could have believed it to this degree, probably not, but man, they're doing great.
Yeah, I think the thing was the past couple seasons, there'd always be those, and we used a couple of these teams as like examples, at least from previous years. There was always like the FC Dallases and the San Jose Earthquakes at home, and you'd drop points or you'd lose. And it was just like, man, what are we doing here? This team's better than this. And then you end up in 6th or 7th in the West because you're kind of throwing away matches you should dictate. And I think that's what Jesper's brought to the table this year. As you said, it's a group that for the most part, Sans Muller has been together for a long time. It was just about that little boost in terms of coaching and just that consistency I think they needed.
All right, so real quick, Sam, any chance Dallas beats you on Saturday?
I mean, yeah, I think kind of like I said.
You are a liar, Sam.
In
You
the
don't believe that.
in the prediction, 0-0, 1-1, go to pens. I think that's the route through for Dallas if they want to take it to game 3. I also think there's like an extremely low chance that if that were to happen, that they're able to do any damage at BC Place. I mean, I did predict that Vancouver's going to come out in 2, and maybe it'll be like a cagey 1-0. But yeah, I think Dallas. There's good players and. All it takes is one moment sometimes. So I'm not going to say there's no chance because certainly there is, but the odds are overwhelmingly in Vancouver's favor based on what we saw in match 1.
Joe, will they let fans in the stadium on Saturday?
Well, it depends. You got to wear a hard hat and one of those orange vests, and then you can come in. But you got to do work while you're doing it. That's the only thing.
Hey.
No, but so you're saying there's a chance, right? So what I would say as a takeaway, what I said in the last episode is that whoever wins game 1 is going to win the series. I still stand by that as much as it pains me to say it. But what I also said is that if Vancouver wins game 1, they take it in 3. If Dallas wins game 1, they take it in 2. So I am predicting a Dallas win. I'm predicting a penalty win after a 2-2 draw. I think Kalodi comes up big. I'm even going to go a little bit further and say the PKs are going to be 4-2 in favor of Dallas. Mueller gets 1. Seb Berhalter gets the other one. That's my prediction. Don't ask me who's going to score for Dallas. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
I like it. I like it.
We'll see.
So moving on to San Diego, Portland. Welcome, Louis. Repping the
Hi guys, how you
Portland.
doing?
I like the Trailblazers hat. You got the Timbers going on.
I left
Louis.
my house in a hurry. I couldn't find the Timbers hat that I wanted to bring with me. I'm actually traveling right now, which is why I had to jump on a few minutes later to get in the hotel. But so I went with the Blazers hat because I couldn't find the Timbers hat I wanted.
All good. I appreciate you joining us. So I'll start with you, Louis. What did you think of the game against San Diego? Because Anthony had a chance that, I thought that he should have gotten a better shot off of. Kamal Miller had a header that should have been on target. But San Diego looked pretty much in control outside of those 2 chances. What did you think about the game?
Yeah, it was a first half to forget, that's for sure. It could have easily been 3-4-0 at the half, and then we found our footing a little bit. Velda finally opening his account. You can tell he's been struggling and pushing and pressing ever since he joined the club to sort of validate that DP signing that he is, and it finally fell for him. And I think that I wasn't going to say it turned the game on its head, but it certainly gave us life. It certainly made us feel like, okay, well, this could have been 4-0, but now it's 2-1, all full steam ahead, all hands on deck. Maybe there's a chance to at least push this to PKs. And then, Jimmer Forey, it had been a problem of his earlier in the season that he kind of cleaned up lately, getting stupid yellows that just kill all momentum. In this case, it was 2 in the span of 3 minutes. And yes, you did mention the Anthony chance after that. We still had a few chances, surprisingly, after that to tie it up late. But that really kind of killed the momentum that had been building at the time of his sending off. I think it's kind of strange to say, but I think Portland kind of had the momentum at that point. They were pushing forward. They were getting more of the chances after really, really struggling to find their way into the game at all. And it looked like they weren't even going to be able to. And they did. And then that happened. And then that kind of killed our chances of stealing that game 1. And it was kind of a microcosm of our season and our last few seasons, which have been just missed opportunity. It's been big missed opportunity. For a franchise that really needs to be. What'd you say?
No, I was going to say your keeper, Pantomis, he kept you guys in the game to start, because I felt in the start of the game, San Diego started off on that front foot, and they could have buried 2 in the first 15 minutes. But he was standing on his head, it felt like.
Yeah, well, it's kind of been a battle with, Crepeau is the higher profile, bigger name goalkeeper. He still gets, they're both obviously Canadian nationals, but Crepeau kind of gets more of the looks there at the international stage. He's the bigger name, he's the higher profile. So it seems like, the front office would prefer him to just go and take that job, and he just hasn't done it, mainly because Pantemis is he's a more elite shot stopper. And when you're facing so many shots in the game, as we tend to do, shot stopping is probably is the attribute that you're most looking for out of your goalkeeper, especially a relentless attack when we're getting into the the playoffs here, and you're not facing any. There are no gimme games. There are no poor opponents. I mean, San Diego's going to get their shots off against us, and so you need an elite shot stopper. And I think just even outside of that, I think Pantemis has established himself as the guy going forward, and he showed why in this game. He kept it respectable, which is why it's so frustrating not to get that equalizer at the end. At least send this thing to penalties, have a little bit of momentum, going into game two. But yeah, it was frustrating. It was a missed opportunity. This is not a club that should be falling into 8th place to begin with. This is not a club that should be, just fighting to be in the hunt. Just that should be fighting to have the toughest path to MLS Cup. Yeah. This is a club that is underperformed and underachieved. Probably ever since their last MLS Cup appearance in 2021, which was their third in whatever it was, 6 years.
Yeah.
Since then, it's just we get to this time of year and it's one underachievement after another. There's lots of reasons for that. They brought in addition to Vela, they brought in signings midseason that were supposed to make a difference and stabilize the club, push us back over the top, and both of those guys got hurt. And it's just been it's been a struggle since then.
It's been one of those years. It's been one of those years for sure. And shout out to LAFC. He said, you guys forgetting someone. The Western playoffs ends tomorrow. We know LAFC plays tomorrow. We got an Eastern. This is just part one. We got the other 2 games. We're going to do that on Thursday night for the Western Conference if you're looking for LAFC. And for anybody looking to talk Charlotte, NYCFC, I forgot what other 2 games we haven't covered. But in the Eastern Conference, that's tomorrow night with Chris. So last but not least, Tony, San Diego, first seed. They come out firing. Like we were saying, they should have had a couple goals in the first 15. Ended up scoring, I think it was like in the 20th minute or so, 23rd minute, and then again in the 30th minute. And then I felt like it felt like things were over. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, run it back. 4-0 wasn't a bad result last time they faced the Timbers, so run it back with the lineup. But that doesn't mean that Chucky Lozano is not going to be in the lineup nor on the bench. So I think that's this kind of the side narrative that's kind of happening now. But the bigger narrative that they didn't need Chucky. They didn't need Chucky to go ahead and get game one here. But that's not to say that it wasn't difficult for San Diego FC in moments, right? San Diego FC have their identity. They're going to play their way, the play style that they've been just carving for themselves this entire season, that blueprint, the right to dream mentality of going down the field, maintaining possession. And, it was in the first year, a vintage performance by San Diego FC from what they've been showcasing this entire season. But with that too is a lot of what, Louis was saying. It's just, there was a lot of missed opportunities from San Diego FC. There's no set 9 for San Diego FC. You have you have Corey Baird, who's still trying to acclimate to the season. I mean, he works for what San Diego FC Mikey Vadas need him for, and he filled in that lane. Same thing was being said about Amal Pellegrino, who is now absolutely killing it on the left wing and really usurping Chucky Lozano for his position. So no Chucky, no problem. You got, all 6'2" of Pellegrino over there. And then you have Anders Dreyer. You have that midfield with Yepes Verskov, a midfield with veterans with Anibal Godoy, who was the one that baited that first initial yellow card that later turned to a second yellow card. So then that's that kind of mentality. You need that veteran presence to have that in the game. But I feel like Portland has a way to get and potentially get an edge on San Diego FC, but they just executed too late. And that's going against the kids. There are children that are playing in San Diego FC's lineup. Bombino just turned 20, I believe. And, Manu Dua, even though he's, again, 6'2", 6'3" himself, is just out of college. You have Ian Pilcher, another MLS draft player who got picked up, playing right back. These are the kids and players that are inexperienced. So you should go after them, be physical with them. Earn a couple of yellow cards in the first half to really set the tone and say, hey, this is different. This is playoffs. But that didn't happen. And when it did happen, it was a little too late. And now everything's a little bit more elevated. And referees like, you know what? Yeah, no, that's a yellow card. You go after Ian Pilcher. Yeah, that's a yellow card. But now it's your second yellow card. And I think that's the moment where Portland really shot themselves in the foot. They were competitive. And I think this is the best look that Portland's going to have at San Diego FC. If they replicate this in Providence Park this upcoming weekend, they can come out with a victory, and at the very least a tie, and then into penalties. And that was something that San Diego FC hasn't faced. That's a big question. We've never seen San Diego FC in a penalty situation. We've never seen what that looks like. Whereas for Timbers, you have a really good goalkeeper, as you mentioned. 3 out of 6 penalties stopped this season. 50% for a goalkeeper in penalties. That's incredible. Like that's hands down incredible for what he's been doing. So the game script was there. San Diego FC just kind of did what they've been doing and found a way to feed Honors Dryer and really go from there. And just on the other side of things, right? Like you mentioned, the goalkeeper was very stellar for Portland. You didn't really hear anything from CJ Dos Santos. So that's kind of to tell you that two sides of the story where, usually that might have been a point of like, there was pressure on him. He made an error coming out and Portland got one back. But I think San Diego just showcased a lot of what they've been missing at home specifically, because San Diego FC had not won here since, I want to say it was 93 days without winning at home, which was the exact same number, 93, as Portland hadn't won a game away. So something had to give.
Something had to give. I like that stat. Chucky Lozano, I know the talk is we don't need him from some people. Is he going to be back?
So he's on pace. This is very HR talk, and I'm usually the one that talks to Mikey Vada's first question out the gate, and just talking to him after post match. That was pretty much he's trending, right? If this was fantasy football for on ESPN, he'd be questionable. Right. That just kind of means like you can maybe see him, but then he can also be pulled away. And this has to do a lot with this reunification and really just being put on ice for a little bit. And credit to Mikey Vadas, who is on his way to potentially being coach of the year, because as a coach that has never coached adults in his career, like legitimately had never coached at the senior level, to be able to say my first EP superstar at home, potentially the last game that we can play at home if we lose, I don't need you on the squad. We're following up with accountability. You're sitting out. And to have that is just, in Miami, I'm pretty sure you're very used to this one. Los cojones to be able to do that is very admirable. So
we're not doing that to any of our stars, unfortunately. Our coach doesn't have the cojones to do that.
Yeah, and so he's on track to come back. He's doing all the HR I'm sorries and writing on a whiteboard at the Right to Dream Academy, and I will not fight with Mikey Vadas, and he's on track. But anything can happen in training. I'll be out there on Thursday, and you bet that's going to be my first question to Mikey Vadas. So, is he playing? Are you guys good?
Louis, Saturday. It's Saturday, right? You guys playing on Saturday?
It is Saturday.
All right, Saturday. What do you think changes from the Portland standpoint? What's Phil Neville cooking up? And if you don't know, what would you cook up? Because we got to cook something up to keep you guys alive.
I mean, just try to stick to the game plan that has made us successful all season. I mean, it kind of depends on the performances of some of the guys. We gotta. Not in this past match, but in decision day, or not decision day. Sorry, the play-in game. Yeah. To get to this point, we got a vintage Felipe Mora performance. Does he have another one of those in him? He had a great season last year. Really, really fell off this year, and it looked like Father Time was kind of maybe catching up with him. He had a vintage performance. If he has another one of those, if he can get in the right spots and if he can get good service, he's as lethal as anyone in the league. But it just hasn't been that way for him most of this season. Can Anthony find the magic that he had in the early part of the season? Can he,
to start the season, he was looking great.
About that moment we were talking about at the end of the match where he really, really should have put something closer on goal than it ended up being. When he was early in the season, he was looking like a best 11 winger. Mm-hmm. Then he got hurt, came back, couldn't really find that magic again. Does he have I'm not going to say a vintage performance, because it's really been this season only that he's kind of come out of his shell in the way that we really needed him to. Does he have a performance like that in him? Did Velda's performance, that finally getting off the shine with that first goal, does that really light a fire under him? Is he going to get out there and score the first hat trick in MLS play in club history, something crazy like that. I don't know. I think it's pretty much going to take something crazy. Maybe not to win this game, or at least push this game to PKs, something like that. Because traditionally we've been a very, very strong home team, especially when it really matters. These playoff type atmospheres. Can we push that? Can we do enough to squeak by and push this to a third game? And if we push it to a third game, brimming with confidence, who knows? Anything can happen. And of course, try to limit San Diego to what they want to do. They're very, very, very good at what they do, but you could say they're a little bit one-dimensional in what they do. They're just, that dimension has been elite. Better than anyone expected this entire season. And we haven't the times we played them. I would say the first time we played, when we met up in San Diego in regular season play, I thought that was one of the better games the Timbers played all season. Can they go back because they weren't able to execute their game on the offensive end as much as they'd have liked, but they limited San Diego to what they want to do in theirs. Can we do that again? Can we find that gear? I don't know. It's going to be very tough. Our backs are against the wall.
For sure, it's going to be tough.
But we are playing at home. I never count this team out at home in a playoff scenario. I will never do that. They've showed me time and time again. Except for the ultimate heartbreak of MLS Cup 2021. They've shown that they're up for the moment. This club is always up for the moment. The fans will certainly show out. The fans have become a little bit disenchanted with this club over the past few seasons, with lots of disappointment and not necessarily the best handling of the situation by the front office's part. But they're going to come out. They're going to be there. They're going to be ready for it, and it's going to be an exciting match. I mean, if we can get into what makes us good, what made us, top of the conference contenders earlier on in the season through the first, third almost half of the season, if we can get back to that, anything can happen. But San Diego's the best road team. They're the best road team in the league for a reason. They're going to come out. They absolutely boat raced us, as Tony mentioned. They boat raced us 4-0 the last time they played in Portland. They're not going to be afraid to play in Portland, playoff scenario or not. And we got to be ready for that. Despite the result, despite going down 1-0 in a 3-game series, which is obviously a big deal in this format, I think there were some positives to take away from that second half of play against San Diego. Hopefully they can translate that into some momentum playing at home and squeak out a result. I don't see a situation where we go out and dominate. That's just not the way. This team is not built to do that against an opponent like San Diego. But if we can squeak out a win, even if it's in PKs, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping for. It's more hope than confidence, than more hope than anything else right now. Just the way the season has come down. We fell into this playoff spot. We fell into this situation. We had a moment of brilliance, but a moment of dominance in that wild card game to get to this point. And they just have to harness what made them successful at their most successful points of the season. If they can do that, they've got a shot. If they can do that, they've got a shot against anybody, frankly.
Look, if Dallas has a shot against Vancouver, anybody has a shot at anything.
Hey, man, it doesn't have to be more than 0.0001 XG, but it's a chance, right? It's a chance. It's too soon. It's too soon.
I just want to say one thing. I'm tired of being on the butt end of these firsts for these expansion teams. We were the first team that Austin FC beat. We were the first team that St. Louis FC beat, and now we're the first team that San Diego beat in the playoffs. And I'm tired of being on the butt end of these triumphs for these expansion sides. So even if San Diego ends up winning the series, which is obviously the most likely scenario, let's bring them down to earth a little bit and at least get that win at home. That's all I can say.
Well, I gotta hop in and just say, but you're not the only one making San Diego have some first. Look, first 5-0, right? First 5-0. Like, come on, high five for the 5-0 right there. Tony knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, 100%. We were so okay with that. We were like, you know what? The guy that helped that, Milan Iloski, we don't even need him. Send him away. Send him away. We don't need that. Here, Philadelphia Union, enjoy your supporter shield.
Shout out to Valakari, his papa, Simo Valakari, Dallas. I'm telling you, bringing it all back around. Where's the tinfoil hat? Let's go.
That's it. It all ends at the Soccer Hall of Fame. Sam, any chance San Diego doesn't eliminate Portland?
I mean, there's a chance it doesn't happen in game 2, but I think it's happening in game 3 at the very least. Man,
Okay.
to me, Portland's like the most entertaining team to watch when you have zero rooting interest because the last 2 or 3 years it's been like dribblers, shots, speculative shots from distance, defending optional, just all vibes, but not quite enough winning. And so I don't know. Portland's just a really interesting team where, kind of like we were talking about, man, everything could come together. Like I could see a crazy 4-3 where there's a couple bangers, Kamal Miller with another crazy shot. Pantemis stands on his head when he needs to. Shout out to my Canadians, more Canadian content in Portland than you might imagine. But it just doesn't feel like that consistency is there, right? Like where's the bottom line? Where's the thing you can go
right
back
now
and
it's not. That's for sure.
kind of rely on? And especially I think we've seen the playoffs in the past. Like we've seen a St. Louis City, even kind of seeing, Philly this year as good as they've been. It's like, man, is that play style going to last in the playoffs? Chicago really gave them a scare in match one, and Philly was a little lucky to get out of it. You need that kind of calling card you can go back to. San Diego has it. They have their play style. They have their identity. Feels like Vancouver has it. Even Dallas, to some extent, there's an identity there. Maybe it's not good enough, but it's clear what they do at their best. And Portland obviously has flashes of brilliance. They have some really talented players, but it's just, are those guys going to show up and have a man of the match performance that leads to victory? It kind of feels like if that doesn't happen, that there just isn't much of a shot. I mean, that was so funny. Like Velde, when he came to BC Place, I think he had 6 shots in the first 20 minutes of the match or something like that. Like it was insane. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was kind of a bland 1-1 draw, and that's just kind of what it feels like it's been in Portland this year.
He's been pressing.
Sam.
He's been really, really pressing. He's really been pressing to try to get. That's why I'm hoping this breakthrough really, really might mean something for him, because you're talking about somebody having a man of the match performance. I think he's probably the biggest candidate for it.
And he's got talent. Like that much is very, very clear. He's got I think really notable talent. It's just, does it actually come together?
Can I ask you a question?
I don't know if it comes together for this series. I think it definitely comes together for next season. And I think he's one of those. He's certainly a candidate to once he gets used to playing in this league, that he can have a breakout. It's like so many similar players have before him. So we'll see.
I want to ask you a question real quick, Danny. I know you're hosting, but Tony, I gotta ask you a question. Do you think? Shout out to Soccer Daddy in the chat. Do you think Kamal Miller at striker is the missing puzzle piece for the Portland Timbers to dominate San Diego FC? What is your perspective? Are you going to ask Mikey Varas if he's planning for that at practice? What do you think?
I really just kind of sit here and shudder, because anything that's positive coaching coming out of Phil Neville will be a danger for San Diego FC. So if there's any thought put into potentially this upcoming game, San Diego FC can watch out. But if that question itself, I'll answer your question with a question: can Phil Neville outcoach somebody? And that's going to be that right there is going to be the answer of whether or not
I will tell you
able to beat San Diego this upcoming weekend.
Now here in Miami, when Miami got off to that rough start and Portland got off to a decent start, everybody down here was like, "Oh, we want Phil Neville back," and it was cry. It was getting loud down here. All right, so Sam,
can have him. You can have him.
No, we don't want him. We're good. I mean, I don't like Mascherano either, but we're good. You know what? I think I might take Neville over Mascherano, actually. Sam, prediction: does San Diego end it in game 2?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they do. But I think it's going to be high scoring. Like we're talking, over. If the over/under's 5 on the total, I'm probably hitting the over on that one.
Nice, Joe. San Diego ended in game 2 or no?
So this is my prediction. Portland goes up 1-0 early. The vibes are high. Red card in the 30th minute. San Diego gets 4 in the second half, 4-1. So yeah, that's my prediction.
But they get to saw a piece of that.
We all want that. Right. But then I think Chucky's gonna come over and be like, "Can I get it? Can I get it?"
There you go. I like it. Tony, do you guys end it in game 1? I mean, sorry, game 2. I mean, it could have ended in game 1, but ended in game 2.
I believe so. I believe so, especially if Chucky files the correct human resource paperwork on time and is able to make the flight and play. Yeah, I think Chucky Lozano will be unleashed, and unfortunately, Portland will be on the other side.
And if you guys haven't caught on, down here in Miami, Kamal Miller is very popular. And Tony, I didn't ask you, do the Whitecaps end in game 2 in the empty stadium?
Well, now that I know it's an empty stadium,
It's half. It's half. It's like when someone's like, I'm not losing hair. Like it's half there.
It's
Sorry,
just thinning.
No. Yeah.
oh no,
Thinning.
I get that. Just
No, you're-
this just happened like in the last 2 weeks, so I'm there with you with
All
that.
right, I hear you.
Yeah, Vancouver takes it in 2.
Yeah.
Again, it's a situation where my co-host Chiva, he watches a lot of Liga MX, and over there the meme is everything's a penalty for America. Seems like anything happens, it's a penalty for Vancouver. Like something, a convenience store gets robbed, it's a penalty for Vancouver. It's incredible what's happening over there. So, hey, it's all good. Mueller can stack them up and just look at the absolute just insane Viking warrior. It fits. But nobody deserves just another away trip to Dallas anymore. Sorry, guys.
The thing that's crazy to me about that is the idea that Vancouver, like being the baddies or being the team that gets the calls, that's just for 10 plus years in MLS, that was never a thing. So honestly, if that's what the rep we've got this year, I'm okay with it.
Well, and you know what? You guys did, and I hadn't realized that. Maybe it's West Coast talk. So I looked it up, and you guys led the league in PK attempted.
A lot of them late in the season. Like I feel like it was
Once
high.
Mueller
got there.
No,
I was gonna-
100%. Yeah, no doubt about it.
All right. And Louis, do you guys go home after game 2?
I mean, I guess I have to be the only one that thinks they can push it to a game 3.
Hey.
I think it'll be tight, and maybe like a 2-2, and they go to PKs, and Pantemis is a factor. He saves a couple.
Okay.
And they go through to game 3 and then get rocked in game 3. But I think my boys are gonna give us one more day of happiness before the ship goes down.
All right. Well, I like to hear that. As always, you know what? Before I close it out, in the other Western Conference, LAFC hasn't played yet. So Seattle, Minnesota. Just real quick, 15, 20, 30 seconds. Sam, your thoughts on Minnesota, Seattle? I have Seattle making it to the Western Conference Finals, but obviously after yesterday, I don't know. Sam, your thoughts on Seattle, Minnesota?
Yeah, well, we were just chatting about it a bit pre-show, and I said I was not particularly impressed with what I saw from Seattle. And then kind of on the flip side, watching Minnesota actually play with the ball, be positive, nice little possession sequences. It was like, where is this team all year? Because Minnesota hasn't looked like that. So this feels like more of a coin flip now, especially because Minnesota's got the home advantage. I feel like Seattle takes care at home, but then game 3, like who knows what's going to happen. So it's like a 50-50 at this point.
I agree. Joe, any thoughts on Minnesota, Seattle?
Yeah, so for those that weren't watching, I got so surprised by Seattle's lackluster performance, I knocked my mic over. Good thing I was on mute. I still think Seattle's going to wake up. I've never bet against Brian Schmetzer in the playoffs. Like I've been burned personally too many times. That was a pun. That was a Dallas pun for those who are listening.
We got that.
Yeah. Did you catch it? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I think Seattle's going to take it in 3. But I don't know, man. Minnesota, they might. Eric Ramsey's working with some stuff there, so we'll see. But I still think it'll be Seattle in 3.
Is it wrong that I think that San Diego gets lucky if they play against Minnesota? Because I think San Diego is going to be screwed if they play against Seattle. But against Minnesota, I think San Diego can take it to Minnesota. Minnesota just sitting back and just letting San Diego go to work. I think that it'll be a lot tougher going against Seattle. Because you would play the winner against that series. I'll ask you guys, Tony, your thoughts on Minnesota, Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, these two teams are going to be just the thing that stops San Diego FC from moving forward into the Western Conference Finals, if that's even possible. Because, yeah, Seattle's the team that can outcoach San Diego FC for sure. And they're able to do that. And we've also seen the Achilles heel of San Diego FC this season be Minnesota, because they said, yeah, I don't need the ball. You take it. You take 90% of the possession. I'll just get you in a counterattack or a set piece, and we'll be done with it. That's how they beat them here at home, and that's how different teams have been able to be successful against San Diego FC. Sure, have the ball. You're not going to shoot anyways. Like, it's okay. You don't have a 9. That's fine. We'll just wait, be patient. And that's what Portland was very good at against RSL, like kind of taking those chances and those advantages. So if there's a chance and a pathway, is bruise the young backline and go after them when there's any sort of window of opportunity. But for Seattle, I think that's the better coach team. Just again, a legacy team in playoffs, and I think that has to do something like, you know, the cream rises to the top, and in playoffs, that's one of it's one of the things that kind of matters in MLS as I am personally discovering. Like when I see Vancouver get all these penalties, like that's just how I take it as a newcomer to this league of like, that's weird. But in that same way, I get to enjoy all this craziness of this game, a series of 3. There's different kind of, you know, there's no such thing as a game 3 right now for any team. It can all end this weekend. But but from then on, I think Seattle has a better chance to be able to do that because they know what it's like to win this season already, and they have that confidence that they can just kind of tap into. And then from then on, Len, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's Seattle, Portland. Maybe San Diego just loses it.
That would be a crazy story.
You don't believe that?
But I will tell you, as soon as the playoffs start every year, I just assume that Seattle finds its way to the Western Conference Finals. Some way, somehow, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers of the MLS. And Louis, I end with you. Your thoughts, Seattle, Minnesota.
Man, I wish Portland had matched up with Minnesota. Minnesota's a better team in a vacuum, but we match up so well with them. We played them very, very well this season. Their style and our style, our style plays very, very well into how they want to play. But no, I can't go on record saying that Seattle's got any sort of chance here. No, I think Minnesota finishes it in 2. I don't know how, but I think they finish it in 2.
You know what? How did I not realize who I was asking? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, it's funny.
All the sense in the world. I get you. Okay.
It's funny. I'm a big. I mean, I'm crushed about the Mariners. I love my Kraken. I love my Seahawks, but I cannot stand those other. I just pretend that other team doesn't exist.
Yeah. I hear you. All right, Louis, please let everybody know where they could find you.
Yeah. Well, my main gig, some of you may remember, is covering Club León, Liga MX. I live here in Mexico. I'm traveling within Mexico right now. So you can find me, my hashtag, as you can see below my name there. If you search for that, you'll find me on all the main social media platforms. Also by my name, Louis Olnick, Olenick. You can find me mostly covering loan, but anytime I get a chance to talk about Timbers and MLS, I'm happy to do so. So yeah, find me out there.
All right, Tony, welcome to the MLS. You guys have been doing an awesome job killing it over there in the West Coast for your first season. I wasn't aware that you were brand new to the MLS altogether, though. I know you were new, so shout out to you, man. I make sure that you let everybody know where they can find you because you guys are all killing it.
Absolutely. So thank you again. It's been fun. Like, I'll tell you this, as anybody who's puts their nose up to MLS and it's like, oh, it's been fun as heck. And it's not just from a winning perspective. If San Diego FC was losing, it'd be just as fascinating. So thank you for being part of the community. And this is something cool that I've found. All these people that put so much time and effort into covering these teams, everybody almost gets taken for granted, but it's so necessary for just the heartbeat of what people need to know. The news won't cover soccer like it needs to. They don't know anybody who.
Fuck Mike Wilbon.
So, you know what? Shout out to all of you guys. Well, you can find what we do here at San Diego Football. We started this podcast 6 years ago. We just had on yesterday, our 300th consecutive week of having an episode. So episode 300. And we just announced that we got credentialed for FIFA World Cup. So, hey, check us out. San Diego Football. This is the studio where we're at, and this is where we do the work. So shout out to everything that we do here.
Nice credential to go to the World Cup. Those tickets are pricey. Yeah, that's a sweet little in you just got there.
Yeah, that was a dream. That was a dream.
Yeah.
And we're on there.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Congratulations. Joe, let everybody know where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm at Detox Joe, DTALKSJOE. I followed these fine fellows on Twitter where I could find them. Tony, mad props. I'm very if you come to Dallas, well, if anybody comes to Dallas, I'll get you a drink. But definitely, if you're credentialed, you're coming this way because we got all the different World Cup matches. Hit me up. I'm excited for the World Cup as well. But on Twitter, it's at Humans United FC. I'm committed to raising the awareness of the stories that people don't know yet through the beautiful game. I've got some writing pieces that are going to be coming out next year that I'll be more than happy to talk about as it gets closer. But that's me.
Wow, awesome. And then Sam from the Great White North, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. As always, fun to get on and do these. The ThirdSub.ca, the Third Sub on all your social platforms. Yeah, primarily Vancouver Whitecaps, but also sprinkle in some Canadian men's and women's national team and some local footy as well happening up here in the province of British Columbia. So thanks for having me on again.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate all you guys taking the time to join us. Battered MLS fans, for those of you watching for the first time, we do roundtable discussions, or sometimes just me and Chris just talking all things MLS with our silliness in between. So make sure that you subscribe and like Battered MLS fans. And we'll be back tomorrow night talking Charlotte, NYCFC, and I forgot what other games. I'm blanking right now. But it's Cincinnati, Columbus. There you go. So we're covering those games. And then on Thursday, we'll be back talking about the rest of the Western Conference. So make sure that you check that out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. And if you're listening on audio, comment 5 stars, video, like, subscribe. And until the next one, have